Good, good evening, my friends. And sorry. Good evening, my friends. And today, and this will be episode 2 of recent animal extinction. Now, in episode 1, I did talk about the passenger pigeon, but I got something wrong in that video. In that video, I say that that pigeon, the passenger pigeon, went extinct in 1918, but that isn't correct. The last known individual died in 1914. So I offer my sincerest apologies for that. Honestly, someone like me should really they shouldn't make simple mistakes like that. Anyway, today's episode will be about an animal that it was native to Australia, and and it's known by a couple of different names, such as the Tasmanian tiger and the Tasmanian wolf. But the correct name is the Thylacine, and despite these other common names, it's not a wolf. It wasn't a wolf. Nor was it a tiger. It wasn't related to either of those animals, and it was, in fact, a marsupial. Which, yes, would make it a relative of things like kangaroos. But if I remember correctly, its closest living relative is the Tasmanian devil. Now, many thousands of years ago, the Thylacine could be found in Australia, mainland Australia, the island of Tasmania, and New Guinea. I'm not sure exactly when this animal went extinct in New Guinea, but I do know that the Thylacine is believed to have gone extinct on mainland Australia sometime around 3,000 years ago. Though an estimated population of a few thousand and hung on in Tasmania for quite some time. And then the Europeans showed up. Now, the Europeans, they did not get along well with a lot of animals, and the Thylacine was one of them. The native Australians, called the Aboriginals, I think it's the Aboriginal people. They knew how to get along with and or interact with Australia's native wildlife. However, the Europeans, not so much. And when farming became more widespread, and dead farm animals started turning up, people naturally looked for the cause, and they saw thylacines running around doing their thing. So the Europeans decided that the thylacine was killing all these animals. However, this was not the case. It's believed nowadays that most of the dead animals that turned up, dead farm animals, were in fact stolen by other humans. You know the type. Animal thieves, cattle rustlers, whatever you want to call them. Still, at the time, people thought that thylacine, which was the largest marsupial predator to make it in the modern time, and this was the cause of all these animal deaths. So what did the Australian government do? They put bounties on thylacines. I think it was like a dollar for each animal killed. Now this was back in the 1800s. As a result, the thylacine was slaughtered in large number. So basically, people would be paid based on the number of thylacines they killed. And the thylacine didn't really stand much of a chance. As it had a very distinctive form, with a head that sort of looked like a wolf, with stripes running down its back, which is how the creature got its nickname of Tasmanian tiger. A stiff tail like a kangaroo, and of course the females of the species had pouches. Now the last wild thylacine is believed to have been shot at sometime in the early 1900s. And so I can't remember exactly when. Now, there were a few thylacines held in captivity. But due to the still widespread dislike of thylacines, they were probably not cared for as well as they should have been. Eventually, there was only one thylacine left in existence, which was a male, by the name, who was named Benjamin, and there, if you look online, there's actually some footage of him taken in sometime in 1933. However, Benjamin's story would end in 1936. I think sometime in September of that year, or when Australia had some weather extremes, and poor old Benjamin was left. He was not just left outside of his enclosure. I think it was at the Hobart Zoo. I've got nothing against zoos. zoos, by the way. I think zoos can be used for a lot of good. Anyways, poor old Benjamin was locked out of his shelter, and that resulted in him being helpless against searing temperatures during the day and very cold temperatures at night, and that proved to be too much for him. And eventually, after a fairly long period of this, he was found dead in his enclosure. And with his death, the thylacine became extinct. The story goes on to take an interesting turn from here, because there have been numerous reported sightings, some of them with, albeit very crappy, amateur footage. Basically, there's been numerous reports and alleged sightings of thylacines in recent years. It is not, though numerous searches for the animal have not turned anything up. However, scientists in Australia are now working on a project to de-extinct the thylacine. Because, well, not all people in the late 1800s and early 1900s were thylacine hating or were wild animal hating a-holes. Some of them actually wanted to study the thylacine, and as a result, there are now 14 thylacine joey. Joey is a baby marsupial. That are preserved in alcohol at an Australian museum. These babies were removed from their mother's pouch and then preserved in, I think, either ethanol or alcohol. Can't quite remember. Anyway, it's one of these specimens that yielded DNA for this de-extinction project. I imagine samples were taken from some of the other specimens too. And the plan is to use a closely related animal for this de-extinction project, like basically using cloning techniques that are kind of similar to the one that was used to create the first cloned animal, Dolly the sheep. The Dolly story can be found online. I just look it up. And I myself am thinking that they're gonna use the Tasmanian devil for this project, which is kind of ironic, since some evidence suggests that before they went extinct, I think the thylacines would sometimes prey on weak, injured, or very sick Tasmanian devils. Thus help keeping disease under control. And actually, right now, there's a epidemic of what's called devil facial tumor disease that's ravaging wild Tasmanian devil populations. it's a form of transmissible cancer that there's images and videos online, and they are distressing to look at and watch. And so it's thought that by bringing the thylacine back, that a natural form of population control will be reintroduced. Will this work? Time will tell. I personally think that out of all the de-extinction projects that have been proposed and are being worked on, including the ones about the woolly mammoth, the passenger pigeon, and the moa, and many and several others, is I personally think that the one involving the thylacine is the most viable, because we still have good DNA and there's still a decent amount of habitat available. Well, and there would be adequate prey. Hey, for something like a thylacine to prey on. Australia has a big rabbit problem. And they personally think a thylacine would be able to catch a rabbit or two. Of course, the thylacine would also have to contend with some invasive species such as red foxes, and of course the native Australian dingoes. So, yes, the story of the thylacine when I first came across the story, it was a roller coaster of emotions. Like, it's sad that the thylacine took the blame for something it didn't do. I mean, if the thylacine had anything at all to do with the disappearance of sheep, the starving thylacines would only go after their sheep that were already dead. And I mean, Tasmanian devils nowadays are scavengers, as are a lot of other predators such as bears, some monitor lizards, there's vultures, and so on. Again, this has been episode 2 of recent animal extinction. And I enjoy making these videos. And I'm doing this to raise awareness for the animals that have already gone extinct, as well as those that are listed as critically endangered, or at least listed as critically endangered, according to the International Union for the Conservation of Nature, or the IUCN, who has a list of animals that are that they're monitoring the populations of, one of the animals they're going to be talking about in a future episode is listed as critically endangered, but is widely considered by many to be extinct due to the lack of viable sightings. What animal am I talking about? Well, I might not do it in the next episode, but I will get to it, and so don't worry. Remember to don't forget to tune in next time for episode 3. Because I have a few animals in mind for that. Honestly, the list of recent animal extinctions is so extensive, it'll take me months to cover them all. Or I'll cover as many as I can in this series. But, ouch. Yeah. Anyway, hey, subscribe if you want to. I'm not forcing any. I'm not forcing you to do it. And honestly, remember to check in next time for episode 3. And because this video's been a little depressing, and I'll end this segment with a brief shot out of a Tubifex worm dance party. Have a nice Thanksgiving break, my friends.